Hey guys, I'm here. So last night I kicked off Barbenheimer weekend with Oppenheimer, and my lord, this is probably my favorite Christopher Nolan film, and I still don't know. I do not know if this is my favorite film of the year, but I will say I think this is the best film that I've seen this year because there is a difference. And I enjoyed every second of this 3-hour film, man. Cillian Murphy just melts away into this role. This is easily the best performance I've ever seen from him, and he's given some really good performances, man. Cillian Murphy's a standout actor, but man, this movie blew me away. This movie is just so much a character study, and it just isn't just a study of the character of Oppenheimer, but of the kind of political systems of the time in which this was being developed, that it takes place. It's a examination of patriotism, of loyalty. What are the lines of ethical scientific progression? This movie really is a challenging thing for the mind once you kind of really start to dive into the thematic elements that are just entangled in the man, the myth, the legend, the team, and the people behind him that were behind the greatest and most terrifying discovery of our time. I think this movie really shows how much Nolan over time has he's stuck to these things that he loves to do, and he's honed it. He's honed it every step of the way. And I think this is the culmination of so many of these different elements. His attention to detail, the cinematography, the choices of these ways that they kind of, with the camera, with not just the emotion that is pulling off of Cillian Murphy in any given moment. There's like a cinematic, almost Ari Asterian kind of way that they use the camera to show you what the character is feeling. And it's just beautiful. You know, on top of that, they found a very creative way to kind of visualize for maybe the people that don't really have much of a hand in quantum physics or anything like that, to kind of visually kind of represent the things that are going on in Oppenheimer's mind, a way to visualize the theory and the thought processes there within. And it's just mind-blowing. And this movie isn't like all about the bomb. Obviously the main thing is like building it, the creation of it, but definitely the tension is surrounding like all of the drama that leads up to that, and then even the fallout of it. You know, it's not a huge spectacle film at the end of the day, like the trailers may try to spin it, because I know like the trailers are very like all about the fission, the fusion, the fire, the boosh, and that's at its core, but that's like a small part of the movie. But this movie makes what in any other film I feel like would be a very long series of seemingly mundane scenes feel like nail-biting, pulse-pounding interactions and conversations. And this movie is also at the same time extremely like inspiring, while at the same time being haunting, as it is in its own way a cautionary tale, and it's exploring the ideas and the curse of genius, of the curse of, you know, scientific progress. You know, it definitely throughout the movie had me thinking that line from Jurassic Park, which who knows, maybe from anything else, but that's where my mind goes through. You spend so much time thinking about if you could, you never stop to wonder if you should. And this movie really does kind of like boil down around that. You know, the ambition that comes from discovery, from this passion of trying to understand matter, understand the world around us, and what can that lead to, especially when you aren't really the owner of the thoughts that you put out into the world. What happens when you lose control of those thoughts? What happens when your hands are no longer in a position of responsibility? You know, can the world be trusted with this knowledge? Can it be respected? And it just makes every choice, every decision so conflicting, because it deals with these ideas of basically the character of Oppenheimer. And I don't know how much it contrasts with the real man, because I know of a lot of those elements. I've read about the Atomic Energy Commission. I've read about the Manhattan Project. I've got books on it. They've never really that pocket of it have I gone that deeply down into. But I will say that the character of Oppenheimer, as represented in this film, very much so is a loyalist to the highest extent of the word. He's loyal to science. He's loyal to progress. He's loyal to his friends. He's loyal to his country. He's loyal to his people. But where and how can you blur those lines when they start to intersect and challenge one another? How do you balance all of that, especially in a world where maybe not everybody has as much or equal amounts of integrity? It's just, beautifully done. There's some great haunting sequences in this film. On top of the fantastic cinematography, one of the things that I really like about this is because there's a lot of things that are known about Oppenheimer's life, and there's a lot of things that are documented. There's a lot of things where there's firsthand accounts, recordings, all that sort of thing. I love what Christopher Nolan does here visually to represent what is what. Everything we see that is in color is stuff that we are assuming or is kind of dramatized by Nolan in his writing to express the events that are within. Everything that is in black and white, just like pen and paper, is stuff we know. And I like that distinction because we play around these different elements and it adds this different kind of layer and contextualization to everything that's unfolding. And I love that about it, especially all the scenes that are related to the fallout. Most of that is in black and white. I definitely don't think this film is going to be for everybody. That is for damn sure. But I will tell you that as far as the performances go in this film, there is not a weak link in the entire thing. It's like scene to scene. It probably at this point be easier to talk about the people that are not in this film because every scene, it feels like I'm seeing a familiar face. Pat Skipper is in this. Bill Scully from The X-Files is in this as well. I mean, there's just so many faces. Josh Peck, dude, that makes me so happy seeing him in a big scale thing like this. There are some actors that just kind of have a line or two and you never see them again, but you're like, holy crap, that person was just in this movie. But at its center is Cillian Murphy, and it never really breaks away from that except to focus on Robert Downey Jr.'s character, who has a large part in this film as well. Outside of that, Emily Blunt does phenomenal, though I do think when she's introduced, it takes her a little while to finally find her footing in the story. And I don't think that's a fault of the script or a fault of the character. I think that's just the nature of the way that she enters his life and then cements herself in it. And, we've got Florence Pugh, we got Matt Damon, we got Josh Hartnett, Casey Affleck, we got Rami Malek, Kenneth Branagh. There's just so many people in this. And I gotta say, Matt Damon is a phenomenal standout in this. I love the part that he plays in this, even though this is in any, again, just like with the conversations I was talking about, in any other film, he could have just been a very generic character, but he really kind of elevates every scene that this guy is in. And I love every conversation he has with Cillian Murphy in this film. And Robert Downey Jr., who, for someone who admittedly himself has said that he's worried about his skill and stuff like that, about coming out of these big franchises and just getting back into the core of acting again and kind of being a little self-conscious about whether or not he can still do that. He dissolves into this character. He's great in this film. Then you have the score by Ludwig Göransson, who just really kind of, I don't know, just the way that he melds the orchestral elements with these just eerie, otherworldly, almost mechanical, scientific machinations, and just melt. I don't even know if that makes sense. Kind of like in Chernobyl, if you've seen it, the way that the Geiger counter kind of sound incorporates itself into the score in this eerie way. There are similar elements of that throughout this that also is very much so accentuated by the sound design. Unlike Tenet, the sound mixing here is actually not terrible, as is kind of become kind of a running joke with Nolan films. I never ran into an issue with that. I thought the sound design was great and the sound mixing. Everything just kind of works together to create this experience of being in this high stress situation. You know, this movie's 3 hours. It didn't feel like it to me. I would have honestly liked to have sat with this film and maybe even give it another 30 minutes, another hour even, to flesh out some of the bits. Because the one criticism that I have is I feel like some things, not really moments in particular, but there are some characters, namely Florence Pugh's character, where I would have loved to have seen that relationship kind of explored a little bit more and given more time. At the end of the day, while it is a huge impacting part of the story and for Oppenheimer as a character, the lead-in I think needed a little bit more, and I think that was because we were already at 3 hours and maybe it was filmed and maybe it just didn't make the cut or something like that. But I just really, because of how much I really enjoyed the film and the way that they were kind of telling the story, I would have taken so much more of it, to be honest. I want to go see it again. But guys, have you seen it? What did you think? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you're not already. And before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Manny, Sher, Ryan, Karen, Yori, Coruscant, Margaret Grace, Melito, Brad Rangiano, Jeffrey Hale, M. Sephiroth, Jake Cantrell, and Eric Official. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support. But that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.